Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, Lauren, and Danny. Welcome to the Cimorelli Podcast.
Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Amy.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Danny.
And we're Cimorelli.
Welcome back to
The Cimorelli Podcast.
Oh,
It's my favorite
wow.
voice. It's my favorite voice.
Lisa, you gotta do Pam McGinnis one of these times.
Yeah.
Cimorelli Podcast.
Okay, hello.
She's like Midwestern mom.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Patreon.
Patreon. Do I even need to say what the Cimorelli Podcast is? I assume you're not
say it.
starting at episode 4. No
Let them
offense.
know.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Just in case.
Cimorelli Podcast is an entertaining, uplifting
Come on.
podcast that's full of
Sell it.
advice that has changed our lives. We share juicy stories, discuss personal topics, and get vulnerable and real with you guys. Every other episode is only on Patreon. You guys already know that. Okay.
Okay, before we start, I just want to
So-
say, Kath, that's a great top, and that's a great nail color. You're killing
you.
it today.
I
agree.
No, I was thinking,
Look
look
at
at her
her.
wearing a plain white shirt.
No,
but
it
thank
looks
you.
so good.
Thanks.
And those hoops. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah, you look
I'm
great.
feeling the compliment.
She's selling it.
Last episode, Lisa talked about complimenting a new friend.
Oh.
Does this mean we're new friends?
She's a new
Okay.
friend.
Aw.
Well, I said complimenting a stranger, not a new
Okay,
friend.
whatever. A possible
Okay.
Does
friend.
this mean we're
So,
strangers?
guys, season 3 is based on our brand new book, Believe in You. It's available basically everywhere online, so get the book. It is awesome.
Internationally.
Yes, internationally.
Internationally.
And we talk about a bunch of different topics in here, like most of the big life topics. And we're doing a little bit of it on the podcast, but all of it's in here, okay?
We're giving you a little taste test, but we go in depth on all the topics.
Yes. So today's is based on chapter 4, which is
Dating.
And as
Hey.
you know, we've done episodes on dating, but obviously you can't cover everything about dating. In
No, you
just,
cannot.
We can never
a couple
stop talking about
hours,
it
okay?
anyway.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, never.
So much.
So we're gonna try
It's
to
true.
do some things that we haven't covered before, guys. There's so much we haven't covered. You think we covered it all? No. Okay, so that's the topic for today, and we're gonna start with our spicy advice Q&A
Question.
Question.
Q&A.
Singular.
Question.
from Patreon.
All right. The question today comes from Jacqueline Regina. I love your name. What?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline Regina.
Jacqueline?
It's very.
I don't think it's Regina.
Regina.
Isn't it just like Regina?
Jacqueline
Regina?
Regina. I like
Yeah,
Regina.
like Regina
Regina.
George.
I'm
Regina.
horrified.
Regina.
No, Regina.
Jenny, it's Regina.
What?
It's not.
Regina.
Wait, it's not like
Regina
R-A-Y.
George.
Yes,
Regina.
it is.
Regina.
I
It's
saw
Regina.
Regina George wearing blah, blah,
It's
blah, blah, blah.
Regina.
They
It's
said
Regina.
It's really
Okay,
not.
I
I'm
really
getting
don't like that. I
confused.
protest that pronunciation, but
Okay.
she can do
If
that.
that's
Okay,
your name.
Regina.
If that's how you
Okay,
say
maybe
it, it's okay.
It's like everyone calls me Catherine, but my name is Catherine.
No, it's
So-
not.
You don't say I'm
Catherine.
We're
Hey,
right,
I'm
guys,
Catherine.
We have already had this debate, so let's just move
Do
on.
you do that in
Okay.
the intro? Hey, I'm Catherine.
Well, no, I just say it shorter, but it really has to be.
What sounds better, guys? Let's be real. Jacqueline Regina or Jacqueline Regina?
Jacqueline.
You said it
Jacqueline
weird.
Regina.
It sounds
Jacqueline
good.
Regina. Guys, they
both sound
All right, back to the question.
Sorry, Jacqueline. Sorry.
Love
Jacqueline
you.
says, I'm 17 and I've never had a boyfriend. I'm starting to get #worried. What do I do?
I want to talk to this first.
Don't panic.
Did
I
anyone
will talk
make
too.
it as far? Oh, I guess Amy did.
Did
Besides
anyone
Amy.
make it?
too.
Besides,
I never
right,
had
whatever.
a boyfriend.
so
You dated
Till
you were how old?
listen,
No, she said a boyfriend.
Okay.
She didn't say dated.
listen, but right there. I always forget which camera to look at. I had not even been at 20 years old. I'd never been kissed, never had a boyfriend, never been on a date. Okay, it was like nothing. I had like little crushes. I had a guy like long distance that I would like text, but it just like I was like, oh, I'm starving, and I've never had like a real meal. You know what I mean? So anyway, I totally feel you. And if I were you, I would have had 3 years more of this. But guess what? Dating. My piece is that dating is not the end of the world. It can definitely bring more problems into your life. It's not a problem solver. It's just a thing that you do. It doesn't actually have to mean that much. Like a great relationship can mean the world to you. A horrible relationship can like define a huge section of your life. But being single is, in my opinion, it's a lot of freedom. It's a really open schedule, which things that I love. So I was like,
It's
woo!
fun.
Look, the way that I look at it is just I would much rather be with my awesome self then someone that's not right for me. If someone's not right for me, I don't want to be with them, okay?
That is great.
It's like, oh, you're dating, you're having fun, whatever. Not everyone has to be your soulmate. But if we're talking about making someone my boyfriend, I'm like, look, if I can't see a future with you,
Why
Yeah.
is 17 old is my first question.
Yeah.
Why?
What are we?
I
as
think
kids
17's
these
the beginning.
days Are wild.
I know. Listen, I know everyone has a boyfriend when they're like 10. I'm not exaggerating, but that's not real. Okay, 17 is not old. That's the
young.
beginning of dating. Your brain is not even finished developing, first of all. Second of all, you just got your license, really. I don't know if you have your license. Third of all, you're in high school. Fourth of all, you live with your parents. It's not that serious, you know? I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the world for making you feel like you're so old when you're not. So I think this is the beginning of when dating should even happen is 17.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think you're behind it all. Everyone else telling you that, but everyone else, look at average relationships, average marriage statistics. They're headed in a bad place if they're going on the average path, okay? Bad place. So don't worry about that. You don't need to be in that path. But anyway, continue what you're going to say.
Well, I just want to quickly add, too, that I do think it's a great time to hang out with guys casually and keep it light and just be friends and have fun. Just getting to know different people so you can say, oh, gee, now in my 20s or whatever, I know what I like because I got to have a cherry ice cream cone and a vanilla ice cream
We need
cone
an
and a chocolate
episode.
and a strawberry, you know?
We need an
Yeah.
I know what we didn't do yet. We'll have to do this in our next season for sure. We need an episode that's like, take it down to the basics. Like, no, like first of all, like before you're even in dating, get to the point of like hanging out with boys, talking
As
to a
a
boy, having enough
friend.
confidence to
Just
even
chilling.
speak to a boy. We need to get to that part because I know a lot of you
Yeah.
are probably like, okay, this is great dating advice, but I haven't talked to any boy in 100 years, and you're probably like, this doesn't apply to me. That's what we need to do. Amy, remember this. Remember
Yes.
it? In season 4, we need to do that. It's like not even like flirting 101. That's another one I would do. But like
Yeah.
before that, like how do you even get into the place? Preparing for a relationship
How do you
101.
speak to a man?
Okay, preparing for a relationship 101, flirting 101. We need to do those because
Oh
those are like
my
the precursors
gosh.
to these.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
nightmare.
Wait,
Yes.
I have to speak because I have been single for 24 years and it's a great life. But I was very, or as my dad would say, very insecure about it for a very long time.
Mm.
Because, you know, you reach the age of 22, you're like, oh. But then you realize this is my life and my journey. Ever since women were set free from colonial standards, you're not too old. You're 17. It is a beautiful time of self-expression and self-knowledge and development.
Exploration.
You don't have to be anything. And you have to get your life off of this track and stop comparing it because guess what? You could have a boyfriend and he could ruin a lot of things for you. Do you want that? I had to look at my life and say, oh, wow, I'm very glad I've never had a boyfriend up into the, well, not yet, but I will one day. I'm very glad about that because I would have chosen someone horrible who probably would have traumatized me in many ways because I was not ready.
There's
And that's
trauma to heal
okay.
from.
Things
I
come when
also-
you're ready.
I also would look around, sorry to keep talking, at the guys my age. I'd be like, well, I really want a boyfriend, but I can't date
Idiot.
him or him or
Idiot.
him. I was
Idiot.
like, I would much rather be single than be with any of these chumps.
I agree.
Okay, I was gonna add that you have to look at what is your long-term goal. So I feel like a lot of people, I mean, it's changing with our modern culture, but I think a lot of people are aiming for finding that long-term relationship when you're older, probably not when you're 17 because you're like, I don't want to settle down. I wanna live free.
Me too.
So you have to ask yourself, like,
You don't
okay,
even feed yourself. You don't even
Like,
make all your own meals. Sorry.
why do you want a boyfriend? And I'll say that I kind of started basically dating when I was like 17, but I never had an actual boyfriend until I was
Boyfriend.
25, which is my fiance.
Mm.
And I think the things that people, okay,
Wait,
if you
Key
gotta,
thing is that you dated before. I want to make that really clear.
yeah, I dated a lot.
Because if you didn't, that's kinda
I
weird
dated
now.
a lot of boys, but it would always just be for a few months or
One
like
was 9 months.
one was 9 months, and actually
But you did make it
one of them was like over the course of 2 years, but we just like liked each other and hung out all the time. We
That
never
is
made
wild.
it official. I would just always, and
That
one
is
boy wanted to make it
wild.
official, but I just never did because I was scared
That is wild.
for 9 months. But regardless of that, I'm just saying it's good to date and it's good to meet people and put yourself out there. So if you're not doing that, I recommend doing that. But I think the bigger picture here is if you want to be in this long-term committed relationship when you're older, like 20s or whatever, then the things you need are tools that you can get without having a boyfriend. And I would say, based on my
That's good.
experience, most boys at 17 they're not going to really do much good in your life. Maybe there's a very rare, small
some that
amount
are
of them
good.
that are like good boys,
Some
but
of them will.
a lot of them don't have good intentions with you, and they're gonna, like Amy said, traumatize you. So I
Do
would
you
say
want trauma unnecessarily?
Okay.
you can
it's a little much.
You can work on a lot of the things that you're gonna need for your long-term committed relationship in friendships, in your family relationships. You
That's
can
a good
work on
point.
treating people well, respecting people, connecting, opening up, getting to know yourself, healing your
Conflict
childhood trauma.
resolution.
Going to counseling, like you can do all those things and not be in a relationship. And when that
Ugh.
special person comes along, then you're gonna be much more ready for them than if you just
Yeah.
dated all these
Yes.
people and always found your identity in a boy or a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Take the pressure off.
Yeah, you don't need that to do the thing you actually want to do, if that's what you want.
And you know what? If every day and I know this is really hard because I remember being like 16 and being like, I haven't dated anyone. I'm going to die alone. I remember that. So I'm not really going to minimize this because it literally felt like the end of the world. It was really painful.
It feels horrible.
It was really painful feeling like everyone around you has someone and you don't. So I'm not minimizing this at all. If you are saying to yourself all the time, like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend. No one wants to date me. Nobody likes me. That's not going to help your case because all you're doing is tearing yourself down every day. How is that going to put you in a better place? It's just so not right that we compare ourselves to the world just because they put these dumb standards that you didn't even ask for on you. So
Yeah.
I just want to say, take the pressure off and don't tear yourself down every day. Whether or not it's true, maybe it's true. I don't have a boyfriend. That's true. Do you really need to say it to yourself in a derogatory way every day of your life? No, you don't. It doesn't help.
Yeah, and I'll add to that really quickly that it doesn't make you're not more valuable for having a boyfriend. Like there's many
Yes.
beautiful, amazing women I know who are single. And there's many I know
Me.
who are in
right here.
relationships who
Right
are maybe not as stellar in a lot of ways, but you don't necessarily.
Right there.
Not saying dating doesn't make you this better person. A lot of times they just find someone that's just as dysfunctional as they are, and they have this horrible relationship.
So don't
that
build
doesn't
it up
mean
too
that
much.
you're
Yeah.
Look, guys.
better.
End of the day, everyone's life journey is different. So don't feel bad just because you don't think that you're on the same path that you're supposed to be on.
And by the way,
That's it.
you belong to no man. No man.
Except for God.
That one upstairs. All right.
All right.
All right.
Lovely.
Okay. So let's jump into the topic of conversation about dating. We picked two things to talk about, which is self-esteem and how it affects your dating life, and then what to look for in a guy. And like I said, there's a lot more in the book on dating. I think the stuff we have on dating in the book is like really, really good. Because I remember being a teen and being like, what the heck? And reading like different magazines. And I was so confused by the things that I was reading. I was like, what are they talking about? A lot of it really led me astray because what the heck do they know? People are weird, okay? Anyway, I'm not going to go on a rant about that. So let's talk about self-esteem and how it affects your dating life.
Oof.
Well, something that really affects your dating life is having a sense of identity or not having a sense of identity.
Oh, this is
Because
tough.
I mean, I kind of said this in the last episode talking about friendship, where it's really easy for a lot of people to be so focused on everyone around them and pleasing everyone and make everyone happy that you don't really know who you are and what you really like and what you really want. And when you are in a dating relationship, which is even so much more intense than a friendship, like, and you don't really have like a strong sense of like what you value and just who you are, it's so hard to keep that in a dating relationship. And there's just a multitude of problems that come with that. And I don't really think you can really be fulfilled in a relationship where you are losing yourself to another person.
Which, by the way, people mention in songs a lot.
Oh my gosh.
They talk about, I'm losing myself in someone else, like
Losing my mind for you.
in a good way. And you're like, yeah. When you lose yourself in someone else, yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
act like you're doing this act of like sacrifice. No, this like, oh, I'm like, they act like it's like a
honorable.
virtuous thing to
I
like
give
like,
everything.
give it
I
all.
give-
They say that a
yeah,
lot.
they're
I
like,
gave it all.
I gave my all for you and now my heart's in too and I know. But they say like just this idea of giving everything to a person and putting your entire life like into someone else, it's not healthy.
No,
It's not.
don't let the movies trick you.
Yeah, they trick a lot of us, okay? Me in specific. Anyway, so something that I've learned recently about being single, which is a great time, is that you need to take this beautiful time to focus on building up your self-love if it's not super high. And maybe you're single and you love yourself and you're doing great and you value yourself, and that's amazing. But maybe you're single like other people when most of my life, my career of living, and you don't love yourself, you don't value yourself, you think you're kind of a piece of trash a lot of the time, which you're not, okay? And you would go for a guy to give you value, okay? They do not give you value. You will be the same with and without a boyfriend. You will be the same amount of valuable. And you will think you're the same amount of valuable with or without a boyfriend if you don't get yourself to this high level of value that you have. Because it's a gift from God. And what God gives, no man can take away or give to you. Okay? So love yourself. Build up that value. So you choose from a place of worth and value. And you can choose a great guy who loves and values himself and you.
Ooh, yeah. And I'll add that as a young teen, I found myself liking a lot of boys when I was like 15, 16, whatever. And I was like, oh, they're just so attractive and they're so funny and they're so cool and they have all these friends. And if they stop talking to me, it's the end of the world because that means that they're this awesome thing and I'm just going to lose that. So I saw these advice videos on YouTube. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have value too. And people are scared of losing me too. It's not just like, because I feel like as teenage girls especially, it's so easy to just be like, oh, teenage boys are just the pinnacle and like the soccer boy and the football boy and the smart boy and whatever. It's like, I just need him. And if he leaves me, then it's terrible.
It's a hard one.
That is why you try to build up your confidence before you date someone. Because if not, you could end up thinking that you are nothing without someone, or it's just that they're better than you and that you're scared of losing them all the time. And that's a terrible feeling. The next thing, which goes along with this, but it's a little different, which I also experienced as a teenager. Guys, we all know this. This is a recurring theme. Danny liked a lot of mean boys growing up, okay? And I ended up...
Makes me so sad. Okay.
Yeah, I want to
It does.
smack all of them.
So
Me too.
anyway,
Or if you're Lauren, you block all of them.
yes.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Even though they never try to talk to you. That's why it's funny.
Anyway, I did not like myself a lot. Most of my life. Still working on it, as I said. I don't think anyone's ever
She's
really
perfect now.
done working on that. But
Yeah.
I'm petting a cat.
because it's soft, right? I just washed my hair.
That's good, yeah.
Because of that, I ended up again, we said attracting in the last episode. It's not like a physical attraction thing. It's like a
Drawing
Drawn
them into
to.
your life.
like some people like Lauren, for example. I'm not saying just this. Okay. I'm just trying to illustrate the attraction thing. Some people, Lauren, if a boy insults her, she doesn't like it. She never dated anyone in her teen years that was rude to her. She cut it off instantly. For me, if someone insulted me or if someone was rude to me, then I would like I somehow just forgot about it or I liked it.
What would go
almost.
in through your mind when they would say something mean? Would you like make an excuse or would you pretend it didn't
I
happen?
would both.
What
Like
would you say to yourself?
either A, make an excuse. Sometimes I'd stand up for myself and then it would happen again and again and
But
again.
then what would you say when it happened again to yourself to make it okay? Trying to get in the- I'm
like
doing what Dr. Phil does,
like,
okay?
oh, they didn't mean that, or like,
Oh,
he
it's
said
just a
sorry,
joke.
or it's just
Or
a
like-
joke, or like
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Like
Or-
brush it off,
Yeah,
even
brushing
though
it
it
off.
hurt deep inside.
Yes. So anyway, I believe the reason that I liked those boys because I did not like myself. So if you think that you're a piece of trash, someone calls you a piece of trash, you're not
You're
gonna.
like, yeah, that's right.
You're not gonna have a problem with it, you know?
Mm.
It's like gonna be like, yep, that's it. Like I am annoying, like I am stupid, or I am this, or I am that, or the other thing. So you guys, you can't like mean boys, okay?
No.
Mean girls, mean boys, anyone. Don't like mean people.
It's the trick they'll tell themselves.
But
like you're
it's
saying.
easy to be like, oh, they
That's
didn't
what I
mean
wanna get
it. Or like
across.
it's just a one-time thing. Or if it happened 7 times, it's like they didn't mean it.
Also,
It's like, no.
They did. I'm
also,
sorry.
if you have a need to win people over, like some people may in this world, it makes it even deeper of a need
Yeah.
to win them over because they're
Yes.
so mean.
It's like one day
Oh.
they'll
Blame it
just
on
stop
yourself.
being mean to me. Or like
They
one day they'll stop
won't.
insulting me.
Or sometimes they're
Ooh.
really nice to you in the beginning, and then they start being rude, and you're like, oh, but I know it can be like the old days one day, so you keep trying to go
yeah,
back
they
in
used to be
time.
nice. What if I just change things about myself and it'll be
Yes.
nicer?
Guys, I thought of something we didn't say. And it goes along with this. when someone insults you or they say something whatever and you get in a fight about it, and then you get in a fight about it, and then after the fight it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and it's like, oh, I love you, and it's all nice because you just had this big fight.
It's like bonding.
It's like,
So it's like you feel so close because you just yelled at each other, and that's not
That's a
awesome.
really good
I
point.
had that happen multiple times
Oh,
with boys.
I want to say, I always say your fighting should like bring you closer, but not like that.
not like
No,
that.
I
yeah,
mean,
good point.
You should have an argument, and you should be like, "Oh wow, I feel understood now.
Yes.
They respected me.
Something
they
changed.
apologized for what they did. They're going to change now, whatever." And we like came to an understanding, not just, "Oh, they hugged me and kissed me
Oh
and
my
said I'm
gosh.
beautiful."
Oof.
Now I feel closer after a fight. But they never
It's so hard
apologized.
to not-
they
they
never
didn't
really
understand.
understood you.
And-
The amount of times that I actually did think that I didn't have mean boys, but the amount of times I did think
Yes.
the way that he did
Oh.
whatever, insert any physical action here, that is like the amount of times like, oh, but he
Like,
did
the
that.
way he hugged me after our fight.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe he just has a lot of practice.
Guys,
Oh.
guys.
Maybe not, but just maybe.
And on top of that, if during the fight they were freaking mean to you, like
Yeah.
you can fight with your significant other and not insult each other and not
Yeah.
scream
you
at each other.
shouldn't insult each
Also-
other.
You should never. And so the point is, if you're having this fight with someone where this pain is happening, and then the pain's over, and now I feel this euphoria, it's not
It's
nice.
just like trauma bonding.
In the
Yeah.
long term, it's terrible.
Okay.
Also, there's
Oh.
difference between fighting and arguments. You're gonna have arguments regardless of the health of your relationship, but a lot of fighting is never a good sign.
Yeah, you shouldn't strive to not have arguments because that means you're not talking about things.
Yeah.
That's weird.
You need to
So I have
communicate.
the next point, and I also wanted to mention that if you're hearing some of our stuff gets pretty psychological, but we don't even go there because it's too deep. But if you are like, ooh, that stuff's interesting, I want to know the deeper side of things. You can really look into your child. I'm trying to explain this. The way that your parents were to you and your siblings, mainly your parents, in your childhood is going to determine a lot about who you're attracted to and how you act in relationships and what you think is okay. So if you actually want to look into that, videos and podcasts and books, therapy, you can learn so much about why you have these patterns and why you would be attracted to someone who's mean to you, why you would be attracted to someone who is cold and quiet and aloof. Lots of those different things, they can actually be explained. So I just want to point that out. You don't have to be in the dark. I didn't know that growing up. Most people don't. Okay, so I want to say the next point. Because we're talking about self-esteem, how it affects your dating life. If you don't have a sense of peace, which a lot of people don't, it's probably most people, you don't have a general sense of peace. You're like chaos in here, but a person, you see them as your sense of peace. Like if I'm just with them, then I have peace. That is a little bit of a trick. Lisa was kind of talking about this the other day, saying like you can't outrun yourself. So if you think if I'm just with them, I'm peaceful, you can't be with them 24/7. It's just not possible. And
that
when you're
person's
alone-
back is going to break from
Yeah,
carrying
and
you.
not to mention they're going to start feeling resentful because they have to regulate that. What it is a lack of the ability to regulate your own emotions. You feel something, it's making you nervous, you don't know what to do with it. So you're like, you regulate it for me. Hey, Lauren, I'm feeling really, really bad right now. Can you comfort me? And this is like all the freaking time. Like you can't comfort yourself. I'm not saying it's bad to have someone comfort me, but I'm saying if that is automatically what you do and you can't do it on your own,
You can't treat your
a problem.
boyfriend or girlfriend like they are your emotional ER. And you're just
Oh,
always
I
in the
was-
emergency
I was a
room.
bit guilty of this. That's why I can say, in therapy I've learned a lot. But I didn't know how to regulate myself at all. And I would use, throughout my life, I would use boys and could be the attention or the idea of hanging out with someone I'm hanging out with him tonight. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm so excited. Suddenly I'm forgetting about what I'm anxious about, but it just builds up. So you can use it in a lot of different ways. You can use someone as your sense of peace, but it's false. It's a false reality. You don't really have that peace. So that's another thing. If you want to work on that, your self-love, your self-esteem, your ability to regulate your emotions and cope with things, that is really going to help you. Because otherwise, if you're like what I just said, you're going to be seeking out someone to do that for you. And you're going to be kind of trapped because you're only really going to be attracted to someone who can do that for you. And then you're kind of stuck. Like you don't have that many options anymore because you need that specific thing instead of becoming a really healthy individual and then being able to find another healthy individual. which could have a lot of negative effects on your life in general. And then the last one we want to talk about, like I said, there's a lot more in the book, but the last one we want to talk about today is
Oh,
you
what?
guys.
I thought you were gonna
dating.
go
I
first.
can go
just
first
say it
then.
at the same time.
Okay, perfectionism in dating.
You missed
Catherine-
it again.
Kath and I will both talk about this. Obviously, I mentioned this many times in our podcast. I got through a breakup where I cut off all my hair. But you may wonder, if I don't know if I fully said this before, what led me to that point, such a drastic point? Well, I thought I could be the perfect woman. I was like, I was like in this really like psychotic spiral, and I was like, I will be everything that he wants me to be. I will say the perfect things. Oh, I will always look perfect. I will never step one foot out of line. I will always be cute and coy and flirty and adorable. Like nothing that I do will not be hot and adorable. And I put myself in this little pigeonhole. And like I always say that like he pushed me down a lot, but I pushed myself down a lot too. I was like, you get in there, and I like whipped myself. And then when I broke out of that box, I freaking exploded through the ceiling, and I was like, no one can control me. But I had to get to that point, you know. So perfectionism in dating is a huge way that your self-esteem can drive you to oblivion because you're like, I will just be what I think they want me to be, and then I will have a perfect relationship, which he never even asked me to be his girlfriend. So why did I do all that? But even if he did, I still shouldn't have.
What's the connection between perfectionism and your self-esteem? They probably don't know what that
your
is.
self-esteem is low, so you don't just think I'm a great person on my own. This person probably likes me for me. You're like, oh, this is a fluke that this person even likes me because I have low self-esteem. So I need to be something that they will like, which I say in my song wrong.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to be something that makes you happy.
Too
Should have
much.
known
Too
back
much.
then. I should have known
Too
right there.
much.
Oh, whoa.
Well,
She
all
can't
Lisa's
take it.
songs, you
Oh.
can't listen to them and not die. You need to run away.
Oh my God. Well, you need to look inside then. Why do you connect with it so much? What are you going through?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Every time
They're
people
really
say they
a lot.
relate to my songs, I say, I'm so sorry. All right.
Yeah,
Kath?
I think for me, definitely relate to what Lisa's saying in a lot of ways. And I feel like, but it's not just dating. It's like if you're a perfectionist, it kind of just bleeds into all areas of your life. And dating is just one of the many ways that you feel like you have to be like yourself 2.0.
Mhm.
And I don't know, there's just a very fine line there. Like, yeah, you do want to be growing as a person. You want to be with someone who's also growing as a person. You want to grow together. That's good. But
Yeehaw.
you're not like, I feel like I used to kind of view myself in dating before I was in like a serious relationship as like, I don't know. It was weird. It
Betty
was like,
Crocker?
it was like I was just
Martha
at your
Stewart?
service. Yeah. It was like, kind of, yeah. It's like,
Mary
oh,
Poppins.
my role is to be this perfect girlfriend or perfect wife. I remember when I first started dating my fiance, I literally Googled, how do you be a girlfriend?
Wait, didn't we see
Because I
that?
was like, what do
she
what do
told
you
us.
do? What is expected of this role? I mean, I just wanted to know so I could succeed.
Yeah,
and
you're like,
achieve.
I can't just be what I am. Someone has to tell me. Low self-esteem.
Yeah, and I feel like you just have to realize that what you need to do in a relationship is be respectful and be kind, show up as yourself, grow as a person. I mean, that's kind of it. It's not like, oh, I have to get them the perfect gift for every anniversary and bake them cookies all the time and say the perfect things and be their emotional punching bag and like do all these things. Like, no, that's not a relationship. That is like
Self-torture.
it's kind of abusive to yourself to
Yeah.
like think of that. So you're just I don't know. I don't know if I really explained that well, but like
I
you
think
got
you
to
did.
adjust the way you see yourself. You're not just this
A
girlfriend
robot.
for hire.
You don't need
wife
to
for
be
hire, whatever.
anything. You just need to be yourself and communicate
that.
well and be respectful. You don't need to like be, oh, now I'm a girlfriend, so I have to be
Mm.
this thing. You're
Yeah.
still yourself. You're still the same person.
Okay, so what should people look for in a guy? We have a bunch of these things listed in the book. We're going to go through a couple of them. So each of us is just going to say one and then explain to them an example of a guy like living that out so they get the
Like, what
idea.
it looks
Because
like.
sometimes it'll be kind of vague, like what does that even mean? So
Well, let's just start by saying I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I want a guy who's tall. I want a guy with brown eyes. I want a guy
Yeah.
who's
we
nice
didn't say
to
any
me.
of those in this list.
Let's just preface this by saying a person who's
doesn't
nice
matter.
to you, a person who's nice to you should be everyone. That shouldn't be something you look for in a man. Everyone should just be nice to you, okay?
It shouldn't be a
Let's get
bonus.
that out of the way.
Pretty
He's
baseline.
He's so nice to
nice.
me.
I
Nope.
hope so.
Nope.
You better be.
Okay, so first thing to actually look for. That's what this should be called. What to actually look for. in a guy.
Yes.
Mm.
First thing to actually look
Tall.
No.
Um,
for. I almost said male nurse.
What?
What?
It just popped into my head.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All jokes
That
aside.
would be cool, actually.
I would like that.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, first one is integrity. And that's kind of a weird word. So another word for that is like honesty, maybe?
No, I'm doing honesty.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, what's another word for that? Most
It's
people
like
don't know
a
what it
lot of
means.
words.
okay, I would
merit.
say they do the right thing when no one's looking.
Okay, so I will explain it now. Basically, it's just like, you know those like dads who are just good men and they like would pick you up if you were in a rainstorm or like they would buy you a snack if you were hungry. And then on top of that, like they're just honest, you know, and you know you can count on them. You know they're going to do the right thing, strong sense of morals. Like, I know what's right and wrong, and I'm going to do it. That's the
Good.
best way to describe it, I think.
Right
Trusty
and wrong.
dad.
Trusty dad.
Honestly, think of a trusty dad, age him down a little while.
Kind of good.
I mean, it's hard to think of someone younger than a man younger than a dad. Just kidding. With integrity.
Because some young men do act like a dad already.
Yeah.
That's kind of a
If
good
they have
point.
dads
That's what I
like
mean.
traits,
It's just
all
like
right.
you
Yeah.
feel
A young dad.
safe, comfortable.
find a young
Here's the thing. Guys, stop it. Here's the thing. With someone with integrity, you don't feel like, are they really gonna do that? Do they really mean
Yeah.
what they say? Like, can I
Dependable.
really trust them? It's like safe.
Next.
All right,
Next.
next one is similar values.
Mm.
And I don't know if people really think about this very much.
They should.
So,
They should.
okay, everyone values different things. If you don't know what you value, you might want to think about that. But like for instance, some things people might value.
Appearance.
Okay, yeah. Some people value appearance a lot.
Really
how
high.
they look, like what people think of them. That's like a really high value for them. Some people value like
Service.
Freedom.
Oh,
yes.
that's two different
okay.
things?
Okay.
Independence.
Some people value religion and faith really high.
Mm.
Some people value like political things really,
Really
high.
high.
Some
Creativity.
people yeah, so
There's so
there's
many
millions
things.
of values that people have.
Good and bad.
And if you guys don't value the same things,
Mm.
it's gonna be really
Hard.
Like
hard
those high things.
to build a life with them. Like for instance, if you value personal growth a lot and you're always trying to get better and the other person just values something that's not that, then you're gonna be kind of like, okay, I'm out here growing and trying to
Let's
get
say
better all the time.
Appearance.
Okay, and they just care
They're like,
about
I'm not gonna
like
go to therapy.
yeah, like
That's
that'll
gonna
make
make
me
me look
look bad.
bad.
It's
Yeah.
like you're not really on the same page. Or like if you value your faith and your religion really high and they don't really value
Give a
that
rip.
and you want someone who's going to be like a spiritual leader, someone that you can like talk to about that and relate to on that, and they don't really
Yeah.
care about it, like that's going to be a lot of friction for your relationship.
Mm.
Or just just things that are really important to you, your high priorities as a person, not necessarily the things that you do, but it's kind of like
It's like opposites attract in like a shallow way, like a fun way, like a personality way. But opposites generally don't attract
With
when it's
value.
like really
For
important.
instance, some of my people I used to hang out with, I really valued being sober. And they just didn't value that.
Didn't
You
value
know,
that
that's
one.
a way it's just not going to work
Yeah.
out.
Like most of the day, they're like, I don't really value
I
that.
don't
And
value
This
that.
day.
it's not it's not to say that like they're a bad person if they
No.
value different things than you, but
No.
and it's not about judging that. It's
Yeah.
just about like
It's like,
What?
are you a match?
realistically, can you build a life or
Mm.
like spend a lot of time with this person in a productive way when you don't value the same things? Probably not.
Like
True.
if you are a hard thing on one side, you're not going to want to hear someone who talks about the opposite thing all the time. You're not going to want to argue with them about it
There's
all the time.
Probably some
people
relationships where
probably
it
work
works
this
out.
out.
They probably have some
Maybe
amazing
they value
skills.
like
Yeah.
debate.
Maybe
really
they
high.
like
Maybe they like
that.
Well,
that.
I have best friends who have different beliefs, but we
but
value
you
the same
value
things.
exactly.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right, the next one is emotional understanding.
Emotion.
What does that mean?
I don't really know why I phrased it that way in the book. I mean, it was a while since I wrote it, so I'm trying to remember. I think what I meant was someone who is empathetic
That's what you meant.
and can understand your emotions and their own emotions, hopefully, to some degree. I feel like that's really important. And
Why?
because you don't just want to be sharing your emotions with this like dead, cold rock.
I know I do.
I don't know.
Yeah, sounds
But
great.
what
know
if
what?
they're smiling
that's
when they're
kinda the-
listening to you?
It's like, well, it's not necessarily how they appear.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
And-
like,
It's how they make you feel.
well,
No, more than that.
Oh,
because
More than
manipulative
that.
people can make you feel good.
yeah, but deep down, you're like,
It's like your
hmm.
gut. I don't know. This is really. I'm just questioning everything lately. I'm like, what
Well,
even
can you
is
explain
it?
an example of it? Like, do they ask you, "Hey, how was your day? How are you feeling today?" Do they notice you look kind of stressed? Are you okay? What's going on? Or are
Do
they
they
just like,
belittle your
"Don't really
emotions?
care."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and if you
Mm.
share things with them, do they really listen and try to like be there for you, or do they just make it all about them?
Or they're like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Dude, check out this art I just painted.
One
Isn't this
time,
amazing?
wait, guys, I was dating a boy when I was 16 or 17. I can't
Oh.
remember. And no, you don't know who it is, I don't think. And I was texting him, and this was like the day before we broke up. So this is really foreshadowing. But I was texting him, and we hadn't talked like all day, and I was feeling so weird. And this was a really unhealthy relationship because the reason I was feeling so weird is because we hadn't talked all day. And but like weird in like a really bad way. So I was texting him, and I was like, hey. And then like 5 hours later, he responded and was like, hey, just got out of baseball, sorry. And then I'm like, had a really bad day, sad face. And then 4 hours later, he said, I'm sorry. And that's
Oh
it.
my
He
gosh.
didn't say why. He didn't say, oh, what's going on? What happened? He just said, sorry.
I thought you were going to say the guy that was playing video games while you were crying. I was like, that's a good
That's the
example
same
of-
guy. That's the
Oh,
same guy.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Oh
I
my
think I
gosh.
actually have a good example of this. Okay, I think someone who's emotionally understanding is someone who doesn't necessarily agree with what you're saying when you're expressing why you feel a certain way or anything like that, but they will take the time to understand why you feel that way and
Mm.
validate that feeling. So even if they're
Mhm.
like, even if they think like you're overreacting when you're really upset about something that they don't see why, like for them it wouldn't be a big deal. They can be like, I can understand why that's a big deal to you, and like it's okay that you're upset
yeah,
about
and
that.
they're like, I know you
Even
really
if they're
value
like-
this.
yeah.
Mhm.
even
That
if
is
they
really,
even
yeah.
if they don't like
That's a good
they
point.
wouldn't react the way that you react, but they try to understand and validate your reaction
Okay,
and your
yes.
feelings.
My boyfriend makes me feel like it is always okay to be sad. Whenever I'm sad, it's okay. And if it's something that he did, just giving an example, then he's like really sorry about it and he doesn't do it again. Boom.
That's
That's
nice.
a good one. Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to honesty. Very important.
Double-edged sword.
Oh, let's think. Okay, there's one
Yeah.
guy that kind of tricked me at the end, where he's like, I never lied to you. Like, I told you about this and that. And I was like, I couldn't tell if he was gaslighting me because I was like, did you not lie? I was like, I guess you address these things. But he lied and being like, I want to marry you. That was never a thing. So I'm like, that was a lie. But anyway, honesty is very, very important. If someone can't even like tell you the truth about like basic things in their life or whatever, you cannot build a relationship on that. Like, and if you feel bad, they're like, what? Don't touch my phone, or like, why are you touching that, or whatever. It's like, what are you hiding on your phone?
Yeah,
Like,
because you kind of have to wonder why
Yeah.
someone wouldn't just be honest.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
there's not really a reason
and
why.
it's like,
so
oh,
something weird's going on.
if
they're
something
not being
happened
honest.
in like their past or whatever, and then you have to like find out about it, and then they're like, oh, I didn't think it was a big deal. Where it's like, as opposed to just like, oh yeah, like in my last relationship, blah blah blah. They kind of just, it's like, oh, I did something that wasn't cool. They just tell you,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, that makes me feel better. Like now I just know. They just address it versus like, or they tell you something that happened and they change the story or they minimize it, and then
It's
later
like,
you're
why?
like, wait, what? I thought you said blah blah, and they're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
honesty is so important, and the more open that someone is with you, not in like a word vomity way, but just if someone's like really open and honest with you, like, oh, it feels so good. It's so relaxing. It's like I can trust this person. Like I can just chill. I don't have to worry about it.
And what's the dark side of honesty, what we're not talking about? being honest,
Oh.
using honesty as an excuse to hurt
be
you.
rude.
Oh.
I'm just honest.
Okay, yeah. There's a dark, yeah. There's definitely a dark
I want to
side.
mention that point as well. So
Oh
people
my
aren't like,
gosh.
but he's just really honest. I want to mention that point because I've
Yeah.
known of some guys who have
Well, yeah,
done
because
that.
some guys have said
Just
oh my
being
gosh.
honest.
Some guys have said really rude things to me, and then they try to say later, "Well, I never lied," and I'm like, Okay, it doesn't mean you have to either say all your rude thoughts or lie to a person. You can also just not say them. Like, wow, one guy told me, he's like, you will never make it in the music industry until you grow out your hair. And he's the person that would be like, well, I never lied to you. I'm like, I didn't really ask your opinion on my hair. But like, oh, I'm always honest with you, blah, blah. Well, I don't really
I'm
want
always an idiot
that level
with
of
you.
jerkish honesty from you.
So keep that in mind. There's always extremes on one end. So the next one is character and kind of goes along with integrity and honesty.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I can add to this. So character, it is like Kat said, does he do the right thing when no one, you're not going to know because you're not watching. When no one is watching, what does he do? How does he treat people
Oh, wait,
around
I
him?
will say I feel like character is almost entirely based on actions. It's not really matter what they say. Like
Yes.
it's hard
Character.
to say something
How
that
does he
shows your
treat
character.
his family, your family, his friends, your friends? How does he treat people? And I want to say a good way to figure this out. Okay, don't do this. This is dangerous. Don't do this. But I'm a big advocate of pushing people to their limits.
Oh god.
Don't do it. I'm not saying you should do it. Don't do it. But I think everyone should do it. But I'm not saying you should do it.
What?
I just don't want to be liable. Okay.
Okay.
So listen, life will push people to their limits anyway. So you don't have to do this. Keep your eyes peeled wide open. But there are certain things in life that bring out people's true colors. You ever thought about someone marries someone, then they divorce them, and suddenly that person's trying to ruin their life
Oh.
and ruin their life. It's like, what? What happened here? Their true colors came out. Why didn't they see that before? Maybe they did, Maybe they did. But certain things will show someone's true colors. This could be life tragedies. This could be like heated conversations or like heated moments.
Or you just like you comment on something that's like their hot button you didn't realize.
This could be
Yeah.
criticizing.
topics.
This is a big
Yeah.
one. You want to see, how does someone deal with criticism? Like if you point something out to them, are they getting mad at you
Yeah.
for pointing something out that hurt you? How do they deal with criticism? That is a great question. I thought of another one. I can't remember what it was. Oh, money. That's a really big one. That's like a big one that gets people heated sometimes. That's one of the biggest problems or the biggest like topics of argument in marriage. When, as I know from my life, we're going to talk about this in, I think, one of the next episodes about when you're in a financially tight spot, sometimes some bad things will come out of you. You start to panic. When you're panicking, things can come out, So it's like, what happens when their back is against the wall? There's a lot of different situations
You're
that
like,
happen.
so spend all their money
No.
and then see how they react.
Not do that.
That's a great idea.
Okay, what happens? That's a great question. So, character. It's easy to act like you're this nice, great person in the beginning for the first, year or two. People can act like that for a while, actually, as long as they can do it, right? But then when something happens, or multiple different things happen, your true self comes out, or theirs does, and you get to
Who is it?
really take a look-see. Most time people don't want to take a look because they're like, no. But I'm just saying, take a look in those moments, then you'll get to really see their character.
I think something that you can look at though is like when they have a problem with their friend, with their family member,
Ooh.
or someone at their job, looking at how they deal with that. If they're rude and annoying and arrogant about it, or if they're like humble and gracious. and like,
because
and this comes
that,
back to
that's how they
That's a
will
good
deal with
point.
you
Wait,
later.
That's a good point, 'cause
Yeah.
that's happened to.
Like,
okay, that's
you might
happened
not
to
be in a fight, but they're in a fight with their brother or whatever,
Okay.
and they're rude, and you're
That
like,
is so
oh,
true.
but they're not doing that to me, but they will later.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of that thing too. If the person you're dating is always the victim in every story they tell you,
Oh.
are
This
you
is- this
are you
happened to me.
sure that they just happen to meet the world's worst people
Everywhere they go.
Or maybe they're one of the world's. I'm not saying the
This
world's worst
happened
person, but you know what I
to me.
mean.
Guys, my ex-boyfriend,
This person's
he's like,
over.
every girl ever that I dated broke up with me, and this person did this to me. Like, he would have all these victim stories all the freaking time. Then I ended up breaking up with him. And after I broke up with him, I realized, wait a minute, he tricked me into breaking up with him because the relationship was over because he needed it to end he needed the relationship to end with me breaking up with him so he could continue with his story.
With his victim
She
story.
broke up with
'cause
me.
Listen, I wasn't that dumb, okay? I was a 19-year-old. I wasn't that dumb, but I was pretty naive. And I was like, everyone broke up with him. That is so I have a lot of empathy, okay? I was like, that is so sad. I can't believe. And he would talk about his ex-girlfriend who really hurt him. I'm like, oh, that is so sad. He loved her so much and she just wrecked him. And I felt so much empathy for him.
This is the guy that would make you buy his McDonald's. McDonald's is
and then
like $2.
Yeah, he didn't buy me a gosh darn thing. All I did was buy him everything. It wasn't that much money, but still, he didn't buy me anything. Anyway, that's irrelevant. But the point is, that's a very good point. He was always the victim, and I just thought, life has been so, and he had a really rough home. Honestly, he had a rough childhood, rough home. So I just thought, this just sucks. Like, I mean, it was really, really bad stuff. So
It
that'll
wasn't
get
fake,
you.
but
It wasn't fake.
But
He
here's
did
the
have
thing.
a tough
Okay,
time.
yeah, they had a rough home. Okay.
yeah,
but
no sympathy.
once you turn 18, you are an adult and it's your responsibility to take responsibility for your actions and your life. And if you're making everyone else to be the bad guy, you're not growing. And that's not excusable as an adult.
Yeah, quit talking about. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
And you
Just quit.
being hurt is not an excuse
over
to
it.
hurt other people.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm over
That's
people
what it
being
is.
the victim. I'm so over it.
Yeah.
This next one is very self-explanatory. Are they interested in you? I don't know. You can waste years on people that are not
That is
interested.
true.
Ooh.
Never done it.
Something to look for in a guy. Interest.
Yes,
Is he interested
if they
in you?
like you, they can ask you out. You don't have to wait around.
fully
You don't
capable.
have to. Yeah, if they're interested, they will let you know. So don't trick yourself.
They have access to the internet or a phone. They can show you their
Boom.
interest.
And also, they don't have. Why do they have to be interested in you for you to feel okay about yourself? Like, it's okay if they're not interested. You have to move on.
Well, this is things to look for in a guy.
Yeah.
That's-
A nice, interested man.
yes.
Okay, this one also seems kind of self-explanatory, but I feel like people like me and probably Lauren too, because we kind of had this
Oh.
similar problem of liking a lot of boys that were very cold.
To the
We-
core.
it was kind of like, oh, they're not cold. They're just misunderstood.
Or like they're
You
just
know,
introverted.
They're just a
or-
Rubik's Cube that no one can figure out
Because
except for
some
me.
people are like shy or a little like
Yes,
closed off
and that's
in the
exactly what you tell
beginning.
yourself. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, they're just shy. Like they just had a bad childhood or whatever. Like you just
They
kind of
probably did.
They probably did, honestly, and that's,
That's
okay.
not your
But-
problem.
It's. I feel like this goes into the whole thing of like you can't fix someone. So I feel like them being a warm, like someone that shows affection and is warm, not to be confused with charming and manipulative. That's like on the far end of the spectrum, but just in a simple, very not over the top way, just showing you affection and kindness and warmth and like relating with you, empathizing. I don't know. I just feel like that's a warm heart. You got it.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right, the last one I'm going to say is a strong faith. So, you might think that someone who like reads the Bible or goes to church or does all those
Listens to
things
worship music.
has a strong faith, but that doesn't necessarily mean that.
Ooh.
So, because
tough
people
pill to
can
swallow.
do the actions, but having a strong faith is not really about that. It's about your heart and your intentions. So, looking for someone who not just like talks the talk, but actually walks the walk with their faith and actually has a deep relationship with God, actually has a dependence on God, and doesn't just try to
Be God.
be God, and just depend on themselves or depend on other people, over depend on other people. Like they actually trust that God will take care of them and they actually involve God in their life. That's a strong faith.
I will say also some people are not. Some people are on their way in their faith journey. Like some people are working on it or underdeveloped. It's
but I'm
just
saying things you
He's
should
saying
look for.
You don't
Oh,
look for
I'm
someone who's
saying-
underdeveloped.
You know, they could develop.
No. I'm saying if someone has had a struggle, because everyone struggles in their faith journey. So if they're at a dark place in their faith journey,
But we're talking about what to
specifically-
look for.
Don't
Jenny.
do that.
no,
what to
I'm
look for.
saying there's the up of that. There's like you had a problem and now you're actively doing things to fix it.
Well, I'm not saying someone who's in a dark
Doesn't have
time doesn't
problems.
have strong faith because, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I guess
that-
it just sounded like that.
Oh yeah,
I'm
because
saying-
that's when your
Ooh,
faith
take it
comes
back.
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
like someone who struggles and
Oh.
everything. Okay, yeah, I'll
That's what I'm
I'll
saying.
talk about what strong faith looks like in my opinion in that situation.
Yeah.
That would be like even though they're struggling, even though they're not really feeling God's presence, even though they're having a hard time, they're still trying. They're still trying to pray every day. They still are trying to include God in their life.
Committed.
Yes.
Because somebody who just abandons God in hard times,
Yes.
they don't have a strong faith.
Ooh.
Doesn't mean
Yes.
they're a bad person. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying things you should look for
Yes.
is someone with a strong faith.
That's
Look
all I
at
was
their
trying to
actions
clarify.
and say, are these actions the actions of someone who is really trying hard to please God and to read the Bible, live out their faith, and go, this is what God wants, I believe. Like, I'm really trying earnestly. I am trying to do what I believe God wants. Is that what their actions are saying? Are their actions saying, I don't give a rip
Oh
about
my
God. I'll
gosh.
do what I want? Is that
This
what are they saying?
horribly disrespectful, gross guy that I like shortly
Oh,
dated or whatever.
gosh.
He was so gross, but well, I don't want to give away too many details. Basically, he had relatives that were pastors, so it was like, oh yeah, I'm really Christian or whatever, and he would just do all this horrible stuff. And the only time that he ever even showed that he was Christian, he posted a picture and said he is risen on Instagram, but at a picture of his party where people were doing drugs and stuff. So I was like, is he risen in that house? I mean, yes, he is, but you know what I mean? I was like,
I guess what I'm saying is it's more than just the surface.
Yes.
Yeah. And to end this subject, I want to say that the reason why you need to look for stuff and be vigilant and be careful about who you're with is because this is your heart. You're protecting your heart here. This is a really serious thing. So I don't want you to be on the one side of things where you're like, I'm going to have 100 things I need to look for and I'm never going to open up to anyone. That is an extreme. I don't need to be on the other side, which is like, I'm just so lucky that they like me. They're nice and they love me. Once again, watch Dr. Phil. Every abusive woman or woman who's being abused says, I love him, or he says, I love her. Watch Dr. Phil.
that ain't
okay?
love.
Yeah. My point is, you are worth having a list of standards that mean something that aren't just like tall and brown eyes, whatever. You are worth that. This is your heart we are talking about. So don't take it on those extremes, but do take it seriously because you are valuable. So Kat's going to read from our book now.
Okay, so along with the topic, this is from the dating chapter. And in this section of the book, we are talking about types of guys to avoid. So I think this is a very pithy and dynamic section from a lot of us. They're very funny. And we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but just going into more detail. So this one is called The Ice Cube. Story of my life. I don't know why.
Did you write this part?
Yes, I did. I've encountered this boy so many times, I could write a book on him. Cold boys, that was my type in my teens. I went for those boys who were mysterious, hard to reach, complex, troubled, emotionally icy, and very critical. I always ended up with frostbite. Ouch. If you like a boy who is an ice cube, he'll start out by showing you his good side. In the beginning, he'll give you attention. You'll feel flattered. Wow, this is the boy no girl can get.
Oh.
And he seems interested in me? I must be so special. It will be exciting and intoxicating. If he lets you into his secret world, you'll feel so honored. You know he doesn't really let anyone in. But then he reaches his limit. You will soon feel the change. He'll stop texting you as much, and when he does text you, he'll be distant and uninterested. Where he first came on so strong, he will now treat you like you are a nuisance, a burden. You're just like any other person to him. Another person who has disappointed him by being anything less than superhuman. This will leave you feeling confused, insecure, upset, and frustrated. The truth is, this boy isn't ready for love. He doesn't know what love is. Maybe one day he will learn, but that day is not today, and you are not the girl to teach him. As bad as you wish you were. Usually, he was hurt really bad by someone he looked up to when he was younger, and he decided that because that one important person hurt him, no one can be trusted. So he doesn't trust anyone. His pain is understandable, but you don't have to put up with his behavior. If you like someone like this, or you're trying to get over him, I'm so sorry. This boy's coldness has nothing to do with you. Please get far away from him so you don't become his emotional scratching post. You're worth so much more.
Once again, we have way more on dating in our book, Believe in You. You can get it everywhere online, basically, internationally. So make sure you get Believe in You. It's a great book. So we're going to move on to the way that we end each episode, which is with Sister Spotlight. It could be Lauren's take, your role with Christina, Sappy Thoughts with Kath, Amy's current crisis, exposing Lisa's weird past, or Danny's love-hate list. And this week is ding! Get Real with Christina.
Yeet.
I feel like I already did a couple of these by accident through the episode. So I'm just going to tell you guys one thing. Not really. I'm going to tell you more.
One thing.
I'm going
I
to tell
don't
you
know
my
why.
rant on this. It is called You Don't Like Him. You Just Like the Attention.
Oh.
AKA, you just want attention. Okay?
Mm.
This goes for someone fantasizing about that perfect guy they have a crush on, or someone in a relationship. Once again, not everyone. I just gave it that title. It's, it's nice and dramatic. I'm not saying everyone doesn't like them, but I'm definitely not saying that. Whether you're in a relationship or not, you can think, oh, I just want to date them. That'd be so perfect. Or, oh, I'm in this relationship, blah, 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 whatever. And you think it's so great. A lot of times you don't even like the guy. You just like the fact that he's paying attention to you. He's talking to you. He's texting you. He's calling you. He put his arm around you. Blah, 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 blah. You have a date on Valentine's Day. You have someone who's your boyfriend. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to mock you, but I'm just saying it sucks, okay? Because here's the problem. First of all, you're wasting your time because you're not in touch with what you really want. You're not in touch with reality and what's really going on. And that sucks. Second of all, you're not really growing as a person because you're not in reality. So you're not able to grow. You're not able to get real with yourself. You don't realize that you just like the attention. You don't realize I don't even know that much about him, or I don't even care that much about him, or we don't even have that much in common, or we don't even have good conversations. Like my ex-boyfriend, we didn't have good conversations. I just thought it was fun because he was talking to me. They really weren't. It was just him talking to me the whole time. Blah, 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 blah. Me listening, me answering questions, and then us talking about like other people. He would just talk about other people the whole time. It was so weird. We didn't have good conversations, but I loved the attention. So this is to me when I was a teen, okay?
Self-roast.
Yeah. So I want to say to you that I want you to get real with yourself. If you have a crush on them, are you really sure that you really like them? Or is it just that you're fantasizing about the idea of them talking to you and doing all these like lovey-dovey things? Okay, I hate to break it to you, but that's not what a relationship is. It's not all those dumb things in the movies of all the romantic things. That is not the relationship. That is some gestures that make up like 5% of the entire relationship. That is not what it is. It's like a friendship, basically, that's romantically charged. Most stuff you're doing is platonic. It's friendship stuff. And as you get older, as you get married, it's not a bunch of fun stuff. It's like hard stuff that's fulfilling. Just because it's hard and it's not fun doesn't mean it's actually not amazing and fulfilling. Fun isn't really the like ultimate high thing. So what I'm saying is ask yourself the question like get real with yourself. Do I really like them? Am I really ready to like be with a person and have like the give and take of relationship, the sacrifice that sometimes involved, the conflict resolution, all the things that are coming up that are like the really crappier things, maybe the things that are hard in life. Am I ready for those things? Do I want those things? Or do I just really enjoy having this attention and just feeling so good about all of this stuff and just thinking about him? Because that's not real. It's just your hormones.
Yikes.
So get real with yourself. Don't fall into the trap, or you could waste a lot of your life. Snap yourself out of it, or ask a friend. If you have a very honest friend.
She's pointing to Lauren for our ear
I
readers.
don't know about you. I don't know if you'd really tell me the truth, but I know
I
they
told
would.
my friend to break up with her boyfriend and she
Okay.
did.
I'm just saying, I know these three would give me the truth.
Guys, let's be real. You're sitting with them and you're like, I don't like this.
No, you're not. I was like, I'm going to marry him. That's not what I was
Oh,
doing.
I can't really.
Lisa, do you think
It's
me
a
and
trick.
Beep will get married or whatever? I said no.
And then deep in my heart, I was like, Lisa, I think she's on to something.
Like, she's a hater.
But on the exterior, I was like, no, I don't care what she said. But I was like, I think she's on to something. All right, guys. That's all we got for you today. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, Patreon. We love you, and we will see you later. Bye.
You've been listening to the Cimarelli Podcast. Follow Cimarelli on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find Cimarelli on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat.